A good sci-fi book adaptation. Praise be.
Book versus movie. Obviously, with an adaptation, you have there's three things you can do, right? You can add scenes, subtract scenes, or change scenes.
This is the reason why I prefer the book marginally over the movie. Welcome everyone to the Tutor Round podcast. My name is Richard.
My name is Austin.
Today we're talking about Project Hail Mary, comparing the movie to the book. Is it a good adaptation? What does it do well? What does it miss the mark on? We are going to be comparing the two head to head. If you are interested in our book review, we'll have that link down below.
We reviewed the book.
But we also have our movie review that you can check out on our other channel, our Ramble movies, where we review movies just about every week, and we're keeping up to date with the newest releases. We have our Project Hail Mary movie review over there as well.
So both book reviews on this channel, movie reviews on that, it'll be collab linked and
Yep.
to this video here to see it all broken down. Obviously, spoilers for Project Hail Mary. So we're going to just get into the meat of the story. With that being said as well, we're both massive book fans, gave the book 5 stars personally, and the adaptation's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm so happy. Yeah.
A good sci-fi book adaptation. Praise be.
I gave the movie a 4.5 stars. Spectacular movie, does an awesome job.
I personally gave the movie 4.75. Nearly floored me. Absolutely spectacular job.
And go check out our movie review if you want to see all the breakdown of that. But this is book versus movie. And obviously, with an adaptation, there's 3 things you can do, right? You can add scenes, subtract scenes, or change scenes. And we're going to talk about each one of those, of what was in each, and which do we prefer? What do we think the movie did maybe better? Or what did the book do better? And when we say better, marginal. Like, both were awesome. So we're just excited to talk about this and get into it. So
I don't.
Let's do it.
You have a big spoiler warning at this point.
Yeah.
Come on. You clicked on this video. You know what you're doing. So full spoilers ahead.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Can I start with one thing?
Go ahead.
Because we can start with like macro differences and then get into more specific scenes.
Sure.
So one macro difference is movie's a lot more humorous than the book is. And so the movie leans into the bumbling nature of Ryland Grace and the comedy between him and Rocky, while the book focuses more on some of the science, the actual solving and the actual figuring out how does Ryland Grace in the opening scene of the movie figure out that he's on a different planet. He's in space. He looks out the window, sees he's out in space. In the book, how does he figure out he's in space? Is he actually sets up an experiment to go, oh, the gravity in this hole is different than I'm not on Earth right now.
I'm on the surface. He goes, I'm either really deep in the ocean,
or
really deep, or I'm
in space.
With artificial gravity.
Yep.
It's the only those are the only 2 explanations here. It's either that or I'm on some weird centrifuge.
Yes. So the big difference is a lot more comedy in the movie, more science-based, actually solving the issues or solving the problems in much the same way The Martian does, but also by Andy Weir. So differences there. Did you prefer one? What did you think of the change and why the change was made?
This is where it's the thing I maybe wanted the most, and I understand the change, but it would be this is the reason why I prefer the book marginally over the movie. Or not even marginally. If this is the aspect, like, why I'll say, like, the book is for everyone, like, the book, it's one of my favorite sci-fi books ever, is because of the science nature. And so I think the book balances humor, science, and emotional depth through the characters perfectly. The movie sacrifices the scientific explanations and the logic and the puzzle solving and mystery with science for humor. And I think the humor really works well, and I get why it was done for the movie. It was probably the correct decision. I would be confident saying, like, it was the right direction to go for this movie and for selling to especially a general audience. You have to cut, like, runtime can't be 4 hours long, completely understand. So that choice makes a good deal of sense. And the humor and bumbling nature of Ryland doesn't come out of nowhere. He is socially inept.
Middle school
in the
teacher, yeah.
He does have this awkward humor. In the book, his humor is far more based on he's a middle school teacher, so a lot of the jokes is that he doesn't curse. And he says like dad gum. And because he has amnesia in the book, he's going like, why did I say
like
that? Why did I say frick instead of oh, can I say that? Can I just curse on YouTube?
Well, people know what you're saying anyway.
Yeah. But he says frick instead. And he goes, that's weird.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And so he's finding out more about his middle school personality, and that is played for humor, but also his social interactions being very awkward and weird.
Right.
In the book, so that's all there. Movie dials it up to 11.
Yes, it does. Yeah, I like getting the science answers that we do in the book. However, to cut through some things, I get why that was made, and also the movie takes a lot more of the focus is on. I mean, the book is also this, but a lot more of the focus is Rocky and Ryland's relationship. Mm-hmm. In that Rocky gets introduced even earlier in the movie, or more. Most of the runtime is with Rocky than in the book. It's maybe at the 40% mark is what I is kind of how I remember it, and that reveal with Rocky is so shocking in the book. Whereas all the advertising in the movie is, hey, there's another alien. The trailers of the Project Hail Mary movie go, hey, Rocky, and it turns this into more of a buddy cop, or like what do you call it, the duo fellowship story trope.
This is something to talk about, I think, really early on when we first reacted to the first trailer for Project Hail Mary.
Yeah.
We were immediately going like, why are you showing Rocky immediately? No, because a big part of the book, a huge surprise for me at what I enjoyed so much is it was utterly shocking that Rocky came and became such an integral part to the story.
Yeah. Rocky's
introduction was shocking, surprising, and that surprise was very valuable to me. I valued that.
Right.
I valued that spoiler. Mm. And the movie just says like, nah, we're not. We're just going to show that in the trailer. It's a very big focus. The Rocky reveal is earlier in the movie, percentage-wise, compared to the book. What do you think about that? Did we lose something important with that surprise being really mostly taken away from the audience?
I think there are some beats in the book where it's a big reveal of a big moment that happens, like, oh my God, where the movie brushes through it a little bit quicker. Like with the Rocky reveal, obviously the Rocky reveal is big in the movie as well, but there's some moments like that where the book gets a big revelation in the movie, it's not, and vice versa. And I think Rocky, at least with the movie, what they wanted to lean into was they want you to already know, like from the trailers we're saying before the movie begins, they want you to know going in it's already this kind of movie before anything happens, because the movie's already leaning less on the, how we're talking about the science and problem solving. It's even focused less on the getting to Rocky portion of before we meet Rocky in the movie. There's not a whole bunch, he puts some numbers on a board and solves a couple things, but besides that, there's not a lot of focus on the discovering mystery after mystery. When we meet Rocky, then it seems like the plot actually begins in the movie. Mm-hmm. Whereas in the book, what we get before meeting Rocky, we're getting Ryland Grace. He has amnesia, getting these flashbacks, starting to figure out a little bit, piecing together some things. So I think overall, the I like how they adapted it personally, but I also think they could have leaned maybe a little bit more into. No, I think for the movie it made sense. Yeah, I can't really say anything bad about how they went about it, because the structure of the movie and all the payoff we get with Rocky and Ryland Grace's with their friendship is kind of perfectly done. It sets it up extremely well.
They focused on the soul of the movie, which is their relationship. It is secondary. The scientific discovery and exploration is important, but it is secondary. I get why they focused on it.
Yep.
If I had to nitpick and I want like the perfect movie,
yep.
I maybe I don't need every single mystery and scientific problem solving. I would have preferred maybe one or two.
Yeah, I get
one or two moments of Ryland and Rocky both maybe working through the problem of like the scientific exploration of like the experimentation and working through it. We do get a good one of Ryland figuring out how to breed Talmiba.
Right.
That also seems played more for laughs than the actual science behind it. So we do get a bit of it. I would have wanted maybe one or two bit more
of those scenes. Yes.
Yeah.
Something you said there about the soul of the story being so important for an adaptation. One of the biggest things this does pull off is that message of bravery. And what does it take? And the core message of the book and the film is what you wouldn't sacrifice to the world, you'd sacrifice for a friend. And especially in the case of Ryland Grace, in the movie, he has that conversation with one of the astronauts, and Ryland Grace is asking the astronauts, "Oh my goodness, like how are you so brave? Like, what is this?" And the astronaut responds and is saying, "Well, it's not that. You have to have someone to be brave for." And Rocky is the person that Ryland Grace is brave for in the movie. In the book, it nails that relationship with them to the T. And it was so essential that we got Ryland Grace's character arc in both the book and movie, with him as this middle school teacher, of that end scene being him teaching the Iridians science, because that's at the core of who Ryland Grace is.
This is another difference, though.
Yes.
So compare
before you give that difference.
Okay,
it's a big difference, right?
Yeah.
Before you do that, a quick ad break from our sponsor, audiobooks.com. Over 700,000 audiobooks could be found on audiobooks.com, including some of our favorite sci-fi books ever, like Contact, All Systems Red, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, all on there by fantastic audiobook narrators. And if you use audiobooks.com/tutorramble, that's the URL in the top of our description, you can see it on screen here, you get 3 audiobooks for free with your free trial. So that is 3 audiobooks for free. You get 2 audiobooks plus an audiobook from their VIP selection of books, and that is using their free trial. So if you want to go check out that link in the description, audiobooks.com/tutorramble, you can get 3 audiobooks for free. Try them out. Great audiobooks if you're like us who can't always physically read all the time and have these great narrators while you're in the car, doing a workout, whatever it is. Audiobooks.com has all of your audiobooks needs. Rich, audiobooks.com/what?
Tutorramble. Hey, this is a great deal, even beyond our own code.
Yes.
For, just under $15 a month, you actually get your own whatever book you want, as well as a VIP book. That's 2 books a month for the $15. Compare that to other platforms. This is a pretty good deal.
That's a great deal.
Go check them out.
Back to the episode. All right, what's this big difference? Thank you, audiobooks.com. Go check them out, please. Thank you very much for the sponsor of this video. But we had to leave them a little cliffhanger.
Yeah.
What's that big difference, Rich? What is it?
To me, a very big difference. In the book, there is a tension between Ryland and Straff. Straff lays into Ryland but Ryland is constantly talking about how, like, hey, he can't go on the mission because of his students, that the book spends a good amount of time building up. He's not just a middle school teacher. He really cares about his job. He cares about his students.
Yeah.
And he cares about, like, trying to get across them, and he cares about their future. And so he has this connection to them, and Straff is saying, like, no, you're a middle school teacher because you're afraid of conflict, and because you're a coward is why you're a middle school teacher, and that you're using them as an excuse. It's like, him as a middle school teacher is a dig at his personal failings. And then we start there, and he goes off into space, and he saves the world. It's essential that he goes to the Iridian planet, and he has saved the world. And you know what? He also is teaching these little kids again. And like, he is a teacher. That was not a personal failing. His initial spark or his push toward teaching middle school, maybe that was part of his professional failings in the highly scientific community. Maybe that was a spark, but he genuinely enjoys it. Is his raison d'être to actually teach children.
Yeah.
That is what he's good at. It's a good, important part of his identity. That arc is essential. It is touched on in the movie, but it is hammered home in the book.
It is. And if there's any big difference, like as well as the humor and how Ryland Grace in certainly in the books, there's some funny moments, but in the movie, a ton of scenes are played for laughs, like with the ship approaching. So when Ryland Grace sees Rocky's ship for the first time, and Ryland is trying to run away, he's running, moves the joystick, and then Rocky's ship returns that by also mimicking him. So in the movie, that's played for laughs, and Ryland's cowardness and so forth. In the book, Ryland Grace looks at that, and he is more analyzing. Oh wait, this alien ship is mimicking me. What does this mean? And so it's more so the alien contact and Ryland Grace figuring out what this actually means rather than just full being coward. Where one big enough difference is, at least this is a general feeling I got in the book, was before the big plot twist happens with, oh my goodness, he was forced on this mission. He didn't voluntarily choose. He had amnesia, and as the book's developing, he finds out through getting his memories back, oh my God, I was forced here. And this is a big identity crisis moment where he thought, at the very least in the book, he didn't feel kind of brave, but clearly he's on the ship and went on this mission, so he must be brave, right?
Oh yeah, there's internal dialogue for himself of like, who am I? Oh God, like, okay, I think I remember being a middle school teacher, then going like,
how did I end up here, right?
Why is a middle school teacher on this spaceship to save the Earth? As it's going on, like, he has this moment of, I can't remember actually deciding to come on here, but I must have. I must be brave.
He did this, right?
He's like, I don't feel it, but at some point in my life, I was incredibly brave. And so I can be brave now. When he has to go on the spacewalk, when he has to interact with an alien, when he has to figure out and do these risky things for these experiments.
Must be brave.
I must have been brave once. I can be brave again.
And in the book, he discovers he was a coward more. And he also he has those internal feelings. He's a middle school teacher as well, where he's just going, but he rediscovers how cowardly he was, and what a big reveal. In the movie, up to that reveal point of, since it leans more into the humor and him being more bumbling, and him having conversations with Rocky, he calls himself not brave. He's constantly self-doubting. At no point does he even the moment where he says, hey, I've come to peace with things to Rocky, he reveals in that emotional scene right after, where Rocky says, hey, I can actually save you. He goes, oh, I didn't mean any of that. People just say that when they're trying to be brave, but he never attains this new identity of being a brave person. He's still always the coward. He's still always the bumbling fool. So when the shift happens in the movie of, wait a second, you were forced on this mission, it doesn't hit as hard as the book does for me, because it wasn't a change in self-identity and that big shift. However, what it did effectively do is reconfirms the cowardice he'd been displaying already. And so the moment where he has to go and save Rocky and turn this around still hits home. So that him coming to save Rocky still hits, just, I guess, that plot point, because of how he's portrayed with the more humor and less bravery versus self-identifying as brave in the book a little bit more. That shift is noticeable to me.
And it actually, I think, could have been changed with very minimal effort. There's a conversation between him and Rocky when they're talking about bravery.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Ryland even calls Rocky brave.
The bravest human I know.
Yeah, and bravest human.
I only know one of you.
And they're having this conversation and also explaining that, hey, Ryland's alone and went on this mission to save the Earth. They could have had a moment where you keep Grace's humility, but also say, like, hey, maybe give a moment of vulnerability for Rocky. Rocky is also going, like, I'm also scared of this mission. And then both of them saying, like, hey, we're both brave. We both volunteered to save our respective species and risk our lives to do this. We're both brave. We can do this together. They could have had that moment with Ryland expressing of
hey,
his
we both
belief,
sacrificed our stuff,
and his belief that he did sacrifice it all to save the Earth.
Mm-hmm.
They could have had that
a moment,
but
lean less into that.
Yeah, thing is, I don't even think you need to change a lot of the previous scenes either. You could just have the moment where Ryland affirms his mistaken identity of a hero that
maybe
made
going
the
out on a
sacrifice.
spacewalk. So when every scene he's so cowardly. So when he's about to do the space thing and he hops right back in. He's about to go out. Nope, I'm going back in. He's so cowardly. Maybe he could have leaned into those moments of, he goes cowardly back in and thinks to himself, wait a second. I decided to, no, I'm on this mission for a reason, right? I must have chosen to be on here, and goes out like, okay, I need to confirm, like, I am brave.
Yep.
That, just something like that would have been interesting, but it leans more into the...
You could have even added to the humor moment of, like, him looking at a mirror, like, pointing at himself in the mirror, is like going, you could do this. You can't remember it, but you got on this spaceship to save the world, and you're going to get out there. Like, they could have played into... They could have made it more humorous. Yep. I think
leaning into that false identity.
Yeah. Him psyching himself up for it.
Yes. That to me would have made it even like, oh my God. Like, right. But again, still spectacularly done. Just that little element there would have changed a bit. That plot twist moment would have hit more in the movie if that happened. So there's that part of it. I want to go into some micro changes. We can just jump around.
Sure.
Bit if you want.
Yeah, no.
One micro change that I think I like the addition actually of this. Like, here's something that was added. The Earth projection room with Rocky and Ryland. That's not in the book at all. And having that projection where you could see home. Mm-hmm. The two things I like about it is, one, we get scenes with him and Rocky of like the more connection they get to have. He gets to see some of Earth. But two, it makes plot sense for when in the end, when he's on the Iridians, their planet, of why Rocky's able to create this biosphere for him that looks like Earth. Of now it goes like, I understand how Rocky and the engineers know, because Rocky was able to see it. So I'm like, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm like, I like that. That was a fun addition.
Yeah. Yeah. It just makes a good deal of sense of why that is important for, like, if they're going through all this whole mission and they want to make sure that, hey, these astronauts are going to be in space for months, years sense, potentially, and also they're going to die up there, of like, we need to keep them like psychologically healthy.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Is it extravagant? Yes, but also for their psychological survival.
Yes.
Yeah, it makes sense. It does add some just fantastic scenes between Ryland and Rocky sharing these moments of that he's showing them movies. Like, I love that, they watch Rocky together. and when Rocky is on the video of, like, they're sending a video back to Straff, and Rocky says, "Hello, I'm Rocky, not Rocky from the movie Rocky Balboa. I'm other Rocky."
Yes. That was also an added layer of what we didn't get in. Did you like this addition too, where in the movie we get to see the messages come back to Earth? Whereas in the book, we don't. Right? Yeah. From my memory, we don't see it at all. There's no scene where it's sent back, and in the book, it's just him with the Iridians with Rocky, and we don't even know what happens on Earth at all. Or in the dark.
Conflicted. I don't know. I'm not like enthusiastic of, this was an essential needed to add scene. I wouldn't say that, but I also wouldn't say that it breaks.
Did not like it, right?
I didn't not like it. I'm in the middle. I don't know.
I feel exactly the same.
Because I like in the book of just, I like not knowing. There is a sense, because it adds to the drama. It adds to there's a sense of sacrifice for Ryland, of not just his own life, but he sends off the probe. Like, it's led to believe, like, the Earth is going to figure it out. Like, Ryland gave him the best chance. This is the best he could do. And ultimately, there's no additional benefit to the Earth if Ryland goes back. Like, the probes is what it's needed. The Talmeba is essential, and that's what they need. Ryland is not necessary. So, like, it plays that up, but part of the sacrifice of Ryland staying on Iridian, or Iridian?
The Iridian.
Iridian's home planet.
Home planet, yeah.
Is he doesn't get to know. He doesn't get to know if he saved the Earth. And, like, he has to live out the rest of his life not really knowing if he succeeded in his mission. He did the best he could, but that's part of the sacrifice.
Also, okay, let's go book version of this and not having it. It magnifies the theme of, as a reader, when I'm looking at this, and hey, I, as a reader, am going, even the Earth getting saved isn't even the point. So I guess it's the point, the actual stakes, the world's at stake. You don't want all the humans to die. But it also says a lot to me that I cared more about his conclusion with Rocky than I did about the Earth actually getting saved, of that being the satisfactory conclusion. To me, him and Rocky coming back together, or like him living with Rocky and teaching these kids, that gave me such a sweet, wholesome ending, knowing like, okay, the Earth is probably also saved. But it says a lot about the theme of, hey, what you're willing to sacrifice for a friend, what you're not willing to sacrifice for the world, you're willing to sacrifice for a friend. That kind of bravery, you need to be brave for someone. It emphasizes that.
It isolates it, like, we don't know what happens.
It confirms
to
it to me, the reader, going, oh my goodness, I'm on page with this theme, because I'm on board with the theme of, I'm agreeing. I'm going, yes, sure, I guess the Earth's safe. Rocky and Ryland, right? So it emphasizes that, which I love about the book's ending. Now, movie's ending, it doesn't, like, it's not a one-to-one, but I don't not like it.
It's a nugget of hope, which is nice.
It's hopeful,
like, you get, not everything's peachy on planet Earth. You see it like, oh, they're getting into Ice Age territory of, like, not only are they on this ship going through this, like, having to break through the ice of the ocean, and clearly they're probably not at the Antarctic. They're probably in much more central location. So, like, okay, things are cooling down, and, like, the frost is just heavy. They have to, it's like, you see, okay, the planet has cooled a lot. Straff has gotten older. But there's a nugget of, like, okay, hey, we humans are going to probably figure it out. We got it. Like, it's in Straff's hands. So the probes they weren't meaningless. They got them.
I preferred the way the book did it, but I didn't mind. That is how I kind of put it.
Yeah, I would agree.
Speaking of the ice, what do you think about this scene not being in the movie? Makes sense, I think. But the scene where Eva Strat bombs the polar ice caps, nuclear weapon, to warm the planet. I thought that was such a cool book scene.
Well, this is the cut, the biggest plot cut of the entire, compared to book and movie, is a lot more time in the book is spent on Earth between Straff and all the other characters, and the plot of how they're actually going to do everything. So we get a lot more information of from the flashbacks, how long is it going to take with the Hail Mary? How does the self-imposed coma work? It going into further of it's tied down to a specific gene, adding on furthermore of why Ryland Grace is the only person to do it. Of in the movie, you could have if you wanted to be nitpicky of, like, why did Ryland have to do it? There's so many other scientists, obviously, for how long they're going. Like, is Ryland Grace the only person that's ever been studying astrophage? No, obviously not. There's other scientists there. Plenty of other people probably could do it. You probably do want a willing participant. In the book, it is shown that, like, no, there's this specific gene that allows people to survive mentally, survive a coma. And, like, it's incredibly small population. So not only do you have to find a scientist that is, one of the best scientists, you have to find one of the best scientists that also has this gene that will survive the coma.
And they tested him out.
And they tested him, and he is. And so it adds, like, of course he has to go.
Yep.
But with the movie, they have to skip out on that.
They still have the bomb scene where the other astronauts die, and he needs to be forced in that position. But yes,
I think it works enough. I don't think most people are going to watch that and go, like, well, why did Ryland Grace have to? That you could make, like,
not at all.
To me, it makes enough sense for the movie. I do like the details that the book goes into.
Yeah. And
also just how that coma works, why they're doing it, the time it takes to get to Earth. And this is an added little detail I wanted to get into before when we're talking about his sacrifice. And in the movie, it says that he would get back, like, when he's planning on going back to Earth, that it would take, like, 4 years to get back. Which is, like, all right, it's 4 years. I believe it would take, I think it'd take a lot longer in the book of, like, yeah, he's going back, but yeah, it's good. He's going to be a lot older. And then even further on with the book, when he's on Iridian's planet, they, like, hey, yeah, you can go back, but it'll be like 15 years.
Something like that.
And so, yeah, you'll go back, but you'll go back an old man, and you'll go back alone. Like, do you really want to do that? And so it adds in of like, this was a permanent sacrifice of he went back. Could he go home? Sure. But he'll be an old man. Like, does he want to waste his 15 years in space? And so it's more of a permanent sacrifice. The movie does not say how long it'll take to get him back. And so it's like, hey, you can go back now.
Yes.
Different message.
A nice added touch to the movie that's not in the book is so as much as we're talking about that plot scene being different, of the reveal moment when he's being forced. When she confronts Ryland Grace in the movie and says, hey, you have 3 hours to decide. You have 3 hours to decide whether you're doing this. In her head, she just hopes he says yes so that she doesn't have to force him, but she's going to force him. But she says, you have 3 hours, right? And then in the end, where Ryland Grace is with Rocky on his planet, the Rocky's planet, when he is there, and Rocky says, hey, you have we have your ship ready to go. And Ryland goes, okay, thank you. Can I take my time with this? And Rocky goes, you can take a long time, buddy. Could take the longest time you need. So it kind of parallels how he had 3 hours to decide with the human, but Rocky will give him all the time in the world because he wants him to stay. He doesn't want him to leave. Great movie touch to just go, it emphasizes the relationship more. You feel more for Rocky. And if we haven't already badgered this enough, like Rocky and Ryland, the way that they developed their relationship was, it's so odd how much of the book in my head of how the movie would look, it's exactly as I pictured it for so much of this. Now, I didn't exactly picture how Rocky's ship would look, but I'm flabbergasted. I'm going, that's freaking cool.
That's certainly alien.
I didn't know. I just imagined alien ship, right? I didn't know what exactly, but the way Rocky looks, the way all the ship, even the planet itself, to get it to tell me, but to get the predator to kill the astrophage, all that was, yes, that's how I imagined it in my head, which that's already hard to do with an adaptation.
Oh, incredibly so. And I want to add the relationship between Ryland and Rocky. Yeah. And so here's the thing. It is the best thing that the movie does, but I want to compare it to what the book does.
Yeah.
What the book does a little bit differently is it does emphasize a little bit more the differences of human culture, and in a bit more believable way. Here's a key thing. In the movie, Rocky and Ryland both they connect over their share. Like, there are some shared values of they both want to save their people. They're both capable of love and friendship, all this stuff. Even if their languages are different, and it hints at little things of Rocky watches Ryland sleep and needs someone to watch him sleep, and then eating is also a throwaway line. Now, they did do a reversal. The book specifically, Rocky is very uncomfortable anyone else eating, and don't watch me eat. This is a very private thing. So it was this contrast in the book of wants to eat very privately and then needs someone to watch them sleep. It's kind of opposite of human culture. If we eat together, we want to sleep, with privacy. Mm-hmm. And so in the movie, it's switched, and not switched, but
one of them is switched.
One of them is switched, where Rocky's like, ugh.
This is
human eating is gross. Like, this is how you eat. Like, we are majestic. We're graceful. And then
played for the laugh. Yeah.
Played for the laugh.
Yep.
I almost would have. I know that just would have taken more time, and it's fine. But what the book does a great job at doing is alien cultures. Ryland and Rocky can get along, especially in the beginning, because they have just this shared goal and purpose. Like, how do two completely different cultures, completely different species, get along? And a lot of it in the book is they have to just accept each other and accept each other's differences, in the sense of that's weird. I don't share that value with you. This is a weird cultural thing. We just ignore it. Accept. They have this whole thing of it's a human thing. It's an Iridian thing, and it's this unspoken agreement between each other of, to solve our problems, we have to just accept each other completely. It's just just do it. I promise you, just do it for me.
So you're
please.
saying that Rocky and Ryland Grace are the U.S. and Soviet Union when fighting Nazi Germany.
Yeah, a little. Well,
They're like, hey, for right now, let's just accept our differences.
yeah, and but thing is that is necessary in the beginning to then grow an even deeper bond and friendship.
Yeah.
But the book spends a good bit of time of they're very, very different, and like, but the goal is how they actually are, centered, and from that common purpose, they're able to grow this friendship. The movie doesn't do that as much and leans more of like, yeah, Rock's a little weird, but in general, like, you can see very easily how they can form this connection and friendship. Like, they both value friendship. They both have, like, they're both capable of love and the feeling of loss and loneliness, which is handled so well in the movie, of how lonely Rocky is and like how similar he is to Grace in that sense.
Yes.
Works
That's
incredibly
awesome.
well.
Yeah. Another addition in the movie is in the first half where he is discovering how the astrophage breeds, and we have the budding comedy back and forth between him and I think his name was Charles, I'm forgetting, but the guy who's working with Strat and that guy, and they were having their back and forth and going shopping together, buying duct tape, solving science a little bit together, and getting the astrophage to multiply, and having the joke with him of like, oh my god, we're parents, we're fathers, right? All that kind of sets up the promise and tone of the movie of being the more comedy relief. Now, at least keeping the movie separated and isolate the movie, the reason that's like a good decision to put that budding back and forth between him and I think the guy's name is Charles, and that humor back and forth, it sets a good promise for what is Ryland and Rocky's relationship going to look like in later in the movie. Of, hey, look at the back and forth sciencing between human and human. And even though this human's working with him because, hey, he's got the same goal, but also he's willing to inject you with the coma device or the coma needle and send you off into space for sacrificing for humanity. But it sets us up well for the tone of the movie being humorous and him and Rocky's relationship. So isolating that, I like that a lot. The movie does a good job at promising and delivering that message, even if I prefer, like we've been saying, the science and that aspect of if I could put a scale, I would say that the movie is like 85% humor, 15% emotional gut punch, and that's obviously in the last portion is where it starts hitting you. Where I'd say the book is more like, I'll say the book is 50% science, 40% emotion, 10% humor. If I had to put a pie, and I'm just that's my gut feeling.
Sure.
What do you think?
I think the book is a little bit more humorous. I'd maybe even say 20.
I'll give you 20.
20%.
I'll give you 20. Sure.
Yeah, this leans far more into it.
Yeah.
But which comes across of, I do want to talk about the differences between Ryland in temperament and personality. We touched on it of like Ryland in the movie is more, you see his awkwardness bumbling around, and in the book, far more super scientist.
Yeah.
How would you, because can we talk about the comparison between Project Hail Mary and
The Martian?
The Martian.
The biggest thing the movie does is it separates the two more than the books do. Because our friend we watched the movie with in theaters, he left not knowing that The Martian and Project Hail Mary were the same author, because they felt so different in tone. And obviously the direction was a little bit different. Whereas, yeah, if you read the books, The Martian and Project Hail Mary have the same DNA.
Oh yeah, to me, Project Hail Mary is to The Martian of like it almost copies all the great stuff that I loved about The Martian, but added more. In the sense of like
way better, right?
It's like it's The Martian plus to me of even Ryland Grace compared to Mark Watney. They share a lot of the same DNA of like, they're witty in some senses, but sometimes a little socially awkward, but they're solving these problems, then they're sciencing the shit out of things. That's a core element to it. But then Ryland Grace, I think it is a better character in books and movies, I would say, because he develops, he learns to become courageous and learning about like what is it you sacrifice for. All of that is just added element that made it like, oh yeah, this is a better character. It's a
For sure.
more enthralling character. With the movie, you take away that science superhero setting of like one of the reasons why people I think like watching The Martian is Mark Watney is just a science superhero. Like he's, astronaut and he's science, and you can make the science heroic and fun.
Yeah.
And like, oh wow, it's Mark Watney growing potatoes is superhero. That's a superhero feat, and you cheer for growing of potatoes, and that it's so cute and fun to be able to cheer for science like that, like it's a superhero movie.
Yeah.
And that's what Project Hail Mary does in the book as well. That's what the movie is missing. There's not a lot of cheering for the superhero nature of science.
Right.
It glosses over those kind of moments.
Mhm.
And Ryland Grace is not really particularly shown as, super scientist.
Also, the movie version of Ryland Grace is much more unbelievable than the book, in the fact that Ryan Gosling is incredibly attractive and charming.
Yeah.
Even when he's trying to play the bumbling fool, he plays Ryland Grace great, by the way. He does a great job, but it's very hard to believe he doesn't have friends.
Yeah.
It's incredibly hard to believe that man is friendless, wifeless, girlfriendless. Nope. Don't believe it. Don't believe it.
Dogless? Oh.
Dogless? Unbelievable.
I would expect any stray dog would just follow at his heels. It's Ryan Gosling.
Yeah.
You follow the man in charge. Like the main character. He is the main character.
He's literally Ken.
He is him.
He's Knuff to me.
He is.
He's been played that lately as the insecure character. Barbie. Is he Knuff?
I'll be honest. He gets one more. That's about it.
Don't character cast him. Don't typecast him that much. Give him a confident role.
He's not. Yeah, he's not the. It's Ryan Gosling. Come on.
Next movie, he better be a.
I can only suspend my disbelief so far. Like, Astrophage, totally buy it. Rocky, alien species, close to light travel, totally believable. Understand. Yep. I suspend my disbelief. Ryan Gosling not being the main character of Earth?
Unbelievable.
You're
right, though. I give one more. Maybe this might be my limit, actually.
Yeah.
Because, I get the whole Ken point of view. Like, is he Knuff? Because you're playing off the him and Barbie and the Barbie ignoring you, all that stuff. And then you get this one where Ryland Grace is this middle. So it makes sense. However, Ryan Gosling's character, like, you don't want him to turn into, let's say, like, how you see a Rock movie and you're like, all right, the Rock's going to act like the Rock. Or you see a Ryan Reynolds movie and you're like, all right, Ryan Reynolds is playing himself as Ryan Reynolds typecast. I just don't want that for him. Because I look at him in La La Land, like a bunch of other movies too, like The Nice Guys, or there's so many movies that he plays differently. Maybe I'm just noticing literally one pattern of how that's there. I just hope that he doesn't just get fit into this role for the future, because he's such a phenomenal actor, and I want to see him do different things. He's one of my favorites. I love seeing him on screen.
There's also just the trope itself of traditionally beautiful person that ultimately is, socially awkward, very alone, like all these playing into like, isn't this unconventional?
The stereotype,
isn't this unconventional? It's a twist of like, hey, look, you don't normally expect the the beautiful person who's also charming in their own way somehow is also awkward and friendless, and like
in the same way that like the big brute, the big 7-foot scary looking person is actually a kind-hearted, cuddly person.
It works.
It's the juxtapositions
in the Barbie movie. It works. Ken is supposed to be the perfect looking Ken doll, and his insecurities about his place and or.
Just like Barbie has her insecurity. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, similar. Like, you have Margot Robbie playing Barbie. And like, wasn't there that one thing breaking the fourth wall of like, I'm so ugly or something like that? Like, how there's a very funny line I'm forgetting, but yeah.
But it works because it's unexpected. It worked for the Barbie movie. At a certain point, though, I'm going, okay, is Ryan Gosling particularly, like, should he? Do I believe they're all like, yes, every beautiful person is just incredibly insecure and just really socially awkward. Like all these traits going, come on, not every one of them. Like, please.
He's so
charming. Why would he be alone?
He plays this so well, though. He plays it. I mean, what's his character in Crazy Stupid Love?
Yeah,
like the player who picks up Emma Stone and all that type. Like that's the type you'd expect. That's the typecast of
there's also different types of insecurity.
Yeah.
This is a specific strain of insecurity. Beautiful people can be insecure. This specific strain of insecurity, it can be overplayed, is all I'm saying. It's like,
point is though, he does play Ryland Grace so well. It is like, I'm actually suspending my disbelief because he's that good of an actor. He has me actually believing like, oh man, I feel bad. Ryland Grace, he's in middle school. Yeah.
Oh, speaking of, and maybe this is because it is Ryan Gosling, and I'm going like, yeah, he's the main man. I was a little worried for a moment there in the movie especially during the karaoke scene, that there was going to be some relationship or budding romance between Ryland Grace and Eva Straff.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
I think it hinted at something. Being like him walking out alone to her and having that one-on-one scene, her singing and him staring at her the whole time. There was something. What did you think? Because I do have thoughts. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very glad they didn't go that direction. I would have been upset. That's a direction like, no, not the point, not the focus. Don't add it. And I don't think they did. I will choose to believe the reality that scene was far more about mainly Ryland having any connection and friend, and he doesn't really know a lot of people. Spends enough time with Straff, and he's trying to connect with her and try and identify like, hey, look, you come across as very robotic, and like, do you have any like scruples? I imagine it must be hard to like ask these people to go to their death. And she goes, no. And there's these walls around her of how like this is a great burden for her, and she pretends like nothing bothers her. And so he goes, and she realized like, okay, I'm human too. If Ryland basically showed her that what everyone thinks of her, of this robotic person, it's like unfeeling, and she separates herself. So the karaoke scene is her going like, okay, look, I need to show these people that I'm with them, I'm a human too, and this tries to connect with everyone. Then it's like, okay, I'm saying that's enough, and everyone cheers.
I did the thing,
like,
yeah.
That's what I'm choosing to believe that scene was really about, is Ryland trying to open up and trying to get her to open up. And she does a little bit. Carry that forward to him and Rocky, of how Ryland attempts to get Rocky to open up. And he does. They both accept each other. With Straff, it doesn't.
And with Straff, or is it Straff or Strauss? Is it Straff?
Sorry, not Straff. Strat.
Strat, yeah.
Sorry.
So with Strat, you also, because we get that end scene of her seeing that Ryan, we get the catharsis of, okay, the world is saved, and she was right about Ryland. It adds a little bit more of that into the movie to probably get a more personal connection between the two, and potentially. I tried to put my brain into somebody that was watching this for the first time. I could see somebody watching this and seeing those scenes and going, hey, not knowing the plot twist yet, how did Ryland end up on the ship? Does he get close to her and he's willing to save the world because he doesn't want her to pass away? Like, he wants, how the whole message of, hey, being brave for somebody is being said, is it a little bit of a red herring of going, hey, he's starting to have feelings for her, and the reason that he goes and sacrifices himself is because he's going to be brave for her.
Yeah.
Right? Is that a little bit of the red herring of, if you're watching this movie for the first time, but then the plot just happens of, yeah, no, it's not that romance stuff. It's actually he's forced to do this. And that's I like that red herring in that aspect of it. Does not breach the line. It does not make it into a romance, but it could lead you to believing that is why Ryland went. And so the plot twist could hit harder. So
I didn't think about that, but that's a good point. I would agree with you on that.
Yeah.
But it also, what that scene, the ending scene also does, is it humanizes and maybe justifies, gives her a little bit of an out.
It does.
In the book, Eva Strat is like, not only, she's not a villain, of course, but like you mentioned before, of her nuking Antarctica to warm the Earth.
Yeah.
And all the things she's willing to do. Like,
which, by the way, I love that plot concept of like
So
it's okay,
like
sorry.
we're accelerating global warming.
It's such a neat concept. My God.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, yeah.
It is funny.
Yeah.
But also, Eva Stratt in the book has so many more scenes of like she is global dictator and willing to throw her weight behind it. Now she's not doing it for personal gain. She is like she's not abusing her power in the sense of like, oh, I'm corrupt and I'm gonna get myself something nice. It is like, hey, everything for the mission.
Yep.
She goes to court and goes like, hey, you know all these potentially illegal things and I'm breaking your laws. All right, fine, sue me, convict me. Who's gonna arrest me? I control the United States Army. Go ahead, try to enforce the law.
That's not in the movie, obviously, but yeah.
Not in the movie, but like she is just dictator, bullheaded, pride, like whatever it takes to accomplish the mission. It's why she's willing to sacrifice Ryland Grace and force him on the mission.
But you obviously can't get all the details on Earth. Like, yeah.
But it makes her a little bit like, ooh, like, hey, is it the snake or is it the dictator we needed? A lot, like when you're faced with global apocalypse, sometimes somebody does need to just take charge, take reins of like, hey, there's going to be ill effects.
Somebody has to be the bad guy.
Somebody has to be the bad guy. And we're left with just not knowing where she ends up. Because in the book, she talks about, I thought there was going to be that moment in the movie where she says like, because Ryland asks like, what do you plan to do after this is done?
Yeah.
And in the book, that question is answered with, oh, I'm going to be arrested. I know that. Like I'm going to be in a prison cell for the rest of my life because someone is going to have to take the fall for all of the stuff we did. Once everything is calmed down, once the mission is over,
I love that aspect.
I have no more leverage.
Yeah.
And so all of the different treaties that I've broken, all the laws, all the problems is going to fall on me. I'm going to be in a prison. I know that. And so you see that sacrifice from her, and in the book, we don't know what happens to her. We have no idea. Is she in prison? Did she manage to stay around? Who knows?
Right.
But that's the end. Movie, we get, no, Straff is apparently still in charge of something. So she's, commander of a boat. She still has a science team. And so
they haven't solved the problem yet.
They haven't solved the problem. But they've well over a decade of, them kind of sitting on their hands, just hoping and waiting for Ryland to save the day. So,
yeah.
Anyway,
interesting.
It works. That is a significant change.
Yes, because it is the not saying something leads your imagination to run with what's happening on Earth. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and it also justifies her in the book being much more extreme.
Yeah,
justifies the we don't know what happens to her, and you don't have let her be
I do prefer that
pseudo antagonist.
It's very hard as well because Project Hail Mary, the book, is again one of my favorite sci-fi's, 5-star book, floored me. And when you have a book that's that phenomenal, the movie, which is also a fantastic movie, you're comparing it to something that's it's so hard to I can't believe it lived up to the expectations it did. It already set it was a very hard pedestal to reach, and it got there. There's still your differences, but actually, if anybody wants to, we are chatting because this video is coming out. We're rush jobbing it. It's coming out Monday. Tonight, we're having a discussion on our Patreon about the movie, book versus the movie, and whatever. So if you want to join, we'll be on there tonight's Discord and our Patreon book club. Link is in the description below. So go check that out as well. Because do you have anything else that you want to discuss, or leave it for tonight? Do you have anything else that a big difference between the movie or book?
I think those are the most significant differences, and I think we can go more in tonight. We'll go into more, I think, the science details, some of the more specific scenes. But no, that was the overall feeling.
Yeah, definitely.
But overall, I do have to say a successful adaptation. Yes. This is the right balance, and I know this was a difficult thing to adapt, and I hope to see more like this. This is what big blockbuster movies. That's something to mention here. This isn't just a small adaptation of take a little shoe strap budget and they figured it out and they make a little tiny movie off the side.
No.
This is big budget movie.
Yes.
This is summer not really summer, but spring-ish blockbuster.
Yes.
Big blockbuster.
Your biggest movie of the year so
Ryland Grace,
far, yeah.
one of the biggest movies of the year, and it's very intelligent. It's a smart movie. Characters that take themselves seriously. This is the right direction.
It is.
More of this, Hollywood, please.
Yes.
We need it.
Who would have thought that if you stick to the soul of a story and adapt it fairly accurately? Good.
Who would have
And
thumped
the thing
it?
is too, it's not even one-to-one adaptation. It's not like there's a lot of differences, but
There's different directions it could have gone,
me,
but they kept the core message and soul of the story is kept the same. That's the essential ingredient.
like Lord of the Rings, like other great adaptations, right?
Yep.
It's lots of differences between the books and movies and Lord of the Rings, but the soul of the story, the importance of actually adapting it and getting Tolkien's spirit. What this got, it got Andy Weir's spirit.
Yep.
And this is Andy Weir's story, but it's also, now with this being an adaptation, it is the story of the directors as well, and everyone's got their little touch on it. I am very glad that it's a new part of the medium, and at the very least, this will get, I think, the important thing about this movie's legacy going forward is, people will think of The Martian, Interstellar as big space, modern-ish space movies. Like what those were 2014, 2015, right? Mm-hmm. It's been a minute since we've had something like this, a sci-fi blockbuster. I guess you could consider Everything Everywhere All at Once a sci-fi blockbuster in a way, but this will get a lot more people interested in sci-fi, I think. It's a great entryway, and it's something that fantasy sci-fi nerds can go to, and you can also bring your uninterested, the person, like your partner or whoever that doesn't like sci-fi could like this movie because it has that integral plot type. It has the blockbuster formula, but also intelligent, like you put it. So it'll be a great introduction.
I believe this is just a great moment where I think this is going to have critical success and also big financial success, which I want this to be a positive indicator of these are the type of movies going forward that should be made. And good movies can both be critically acclaimed and make good money and make everyone happy. Like, you can do it, Hollywood.
Yes.
You can do it.
Yes. All right. Thanks, everybody. Remember, if you want to check out our book club down below, but also audiobooks.com. Thank you for sponsoring this episode. Check out link in the description for audiobooks.com and that deal. And that's all we have for today. We'll see you next episode.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.